The Ravens are a scarier team right now than the Patrick Mahomes-led Kansas City Chiefs. At least that is what Cam Newton thinks. This was debated on First Take with a full panel, including Stephen A. Smith, Elle Duncan, I believe her name is, Cam Newton, and Ryan Clark. I'm going to show you what Cam Newton said. It's a pretty long segment, almost 20 minutes, so I can only just play you a short clip. Otherwise, I'll get copyrighted. But I'm going to play you the clip in just a second so you can see exactly what he said. But before I do that, welcome to Flock Talk. This is your home for all things Baltimore Ravens football. If you're a Ravens fan and you just love hearing about your favorite team all the time, this is the channel for you. Hit the like button, subscribe. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of the season. We're getting there slowly but surely. The support lately has been just amazing. I appreciate all of you tuning into these videos. So if you could do that, I would genuinely appreciate it. But I will stop ranting about that. This video is about Cam Newton on ESPN First Take, debating why the Ravens are a scarier team right now than the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is what Cam Newton had to say.
Not true, Stephen A. Smith. I'm telling you right now, if you have not learned anything in the last couple of weeks, Lamar Jackson is playing possessed. Possessed like the great gods have touched him as they have. And when I look at the Baltimore Ravens, they are as a complete unit as I've ever seen them play. 2019, yeah, that was a scary team. 2023, yeah, that was a scary team. 2024 is even more of a scarier team. And knowing that, you don't think Lamar Jackson has circled any opportunity with playing Patrick Mahomes. Stephen A., he ain't come here to play, nor did I come to play with you. I'm taking the Ravens.
Now, get this obvious point out of the way. I completely agree with Cam Newton that the Ravens right now are a scarier team than the Chiefs. Kansas City has been riddled with injuries, so I'm not completely blaming them. Sometimes you hit with the injury bug, it derails the whole team. I mean, the Ravens know that as well as anybody. So I'm not blaming Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid. A lot of their key pieces are missing. The defense is still playing at a very high level, but the Ravens, if you were to poll or survey the rest of the NFL and say, which team would you rather play this Sunday, I would be willing to bet that the majority of teams would say they would rather see the Kansas City Chiefs right now. The Chiefs look like a shell of themselves right now. And I get it, it's the regular season, and right now it doesn't really matter. That's the underlying point I want to make here is this doesn't matter. You're going into week 8. You have over half the season left. What teams look like now, they may look completely different come January, come playoff time. We know what playoff Mahomes looks like, okay? And you really can't bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs because when you need to play in January, he makes it, okay? I'm not arguing that. Right now, the Ravens look like the best team in the league, or right up there. I think the Lions and the Ravens are right there neck and neck. Now, here's where I disagree with Cam Newton. He said this is as good a complete unit that he's ever seen from the Ravens. And I have to disagree. Okay, this is the best offense that we've seen in the Lamar Jackson era. I don't think you can dispute that. The most complete. This is the best Lamar Jackson we've seen as a complete quarterback, a complete player. This is, in my opinion, by far the best he's looked, the most comfortable he's looked, and he's looked pretty darn good, by the way, on the way to 2 MVPs. One vote away from being a 2-time unanimous MVP. So he's been pretty freaking good thus far. So it says something when I say that this is the best, I believe, that Lamar Jackson's ever been. But this is not the best team. This is not the best complete unit, as he said. The defense is not there. The defense is not up to par. There's still some fine-tuning needing to be done, whether that's on Zach Orr, whether that's communication. I addressed it, or I talked about in the last video. I think the Ravens need another elite pass rusher to assist Kyle Van Noy, because that is one area I think that they lack, especially late in games when they're trying to close teams out. I don't think the pass rush is as consistent as we would like to see, which is leading to plays in the secondary. Now, obviously, the secondary has given up some big-time plays. They are having communication issues from time to time. That needs to be addressed. We all know how risky it is, and I've talked about it several times on this channel. That I think it was a massive roll of the dice to hire Zach Orr, who might be a great linebackers coach, or I think is a great linebackers coach, and he might turn out to be a phenomenal defensive coordinator, maybe the best we've ever seen. I'm not saying one way or the other, but it was a huge gamble to hire a guy that has never ran a defense and has never called plays when you are have Super Bowl aspirations and you are in Lamar Jackson's prime, and it's like this is your window to hire a guy who is following up a historically good defense a season ago. I know they weren't going to replicate that almost no matter what. I'm fine with that, and I think everybody else is too. But they're taking too far of a step back, and it could cost them if they don't get it figured out. That is what concerns me going forward. So yes, the Ravens are the scarier team than the Chiefs right now. But right now it matters, but it pales in comparison to what matters at the end of the season. At the end of the season, when you have Steve Spagnuolo-led defense playing as well as they are, and you have Patrick Mahomes on the other side, that is scary because we've seen how that movie ends. Will it be different because of all the injuries? I don't know, but it's hard to put your money against that. That's where I would agree with the Stephen A. Smith, and I think her name's L. Duncan or L. Don't know, but that's where I would more agree with them, is that in January, just because of what we've seen, and that's what I like to go off of, is what we've seen, the Chiefs are scary in the playoffs. They don't lose. They make the right play at the right time. And the Ravens are great right now. They look fantastic offensively, but the defense has to get fixed because we know that margin for error in January shrinks to such a small level that the smallest mistakes get magnified. And you can't be having these sorts of defensive lapses that we've seen from time to time come playoff time. Now, I'm not panicking because it's, you got 10 games left in the regular season and they have time to figure it out. But sometimes I think part of Ravens Nation wants to kind of brush this under the rug and go, they'll figure it out. But you're almost halfway through the season. And this defense, I do think they're getting better. But there's still some disturbing trends, in particular when they're trying to close games out. That's when it gets really concerning, because that's when you start to see some of the miscommunication issues. That's when I think the pass rush sometimes underwhelms. That needs to get cleaned up and figured out. I would like to see them make a move for a good pass rusher at the trade deadline or before the trade deadline. I don't anticipate it happening, but I think it would tremendously help this defense. We'll see. I've said it many times. I believe this. They have all of the talent on defense to get it figured out. They don't have to be last year's defense. They just have to be better than they are now. And if this Lamar Jackson offense can continue to roll the way they are, they're going to be a tough out in the postseason. And that's why the defense doesn't have to be the most dominant unit or what they were last year, because this offense is going to carry their weight, I believe. I truly think if they can become more of even a middle of the pack defense instead of more of a back of the league defense, and like the passing defense in particular is what I'm referring to, this team is going to make a run at the Super Bowl. I believe that. We'll see. So I agree with Cam Newton wholeheartedly that the Ravens are the scarier team right now. And I agree with Stephen A. In the sense when it comes to January, the Chiefs right now are the scarier team. And that may ruffle some feathers in Ravens Nation. But look, I pride myself on trying to be objective and just see things, call it for how I see it. And the Chiefs, 3 of the last 4 Super Bowls, back-to-back Super Bowls, they get it done in January. The Ravens have not. And I know a lot of that's for several different reasons. But come January, right now my money has to be on the Chiefs just because of what they've done. Right now, the Ravens are playing like the best or one of the best teams in the NFL, and in my opinion, are scarier and better than the Kansas City Chiefs. But I want to know what you guys think, Ravens Nation. Do you agree with Cam Newton? Do you agree with Stephen A. Smith? I know I didn't play the full segment. I encourage you to go watch it. It was entertaining. But do you agree the Ravens are the scarier team? Do you think the Chiefs are the scarier team? Who do you think is going to be scarier come playoff time? Let me know down in the comments. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you tuning into these videos. I genuinely appreciate the support. Hit subscribe if you're new, and I will see you all in the next video. Go Ravens!